Hope you guys enjoyed that. Come on, quartet with tap dance. You won't see that in Brampton for a long time. We were happy to feature it here at the festival. We're moving right along with another super special and unique project. This is in the style of the New Orleans brass band. And anybody been to New Orleans here? All right. You will know that you hear this music and you see these setups all over that city, and it vibrates through your whole body when you hear those drums and tubas. And I've been to New Orleans as well, and I'll never forget that spirit. We're lucky that this band is probably the first brass band in Canada that committed itself to that sound. They're the most well-known, and they've also launched their first LP called Knockout, which is for sale at the merchandise tent, so you can grab it on the way home. Super happy to feature them here at the 9th Annual World of Jazz Festival. Let's hear it for Canada's best, the Heavyweights Brass Band. Come on, everybody!
Let's go! Let's go! up, bro? Rocking it out, man.
That last tune is called Knockout, off our brand new album called Knockout, which we have here for sale. I'll tell you more about it later. We're going to play another tune off the record. This is the first cover of the evening. This tune is called Cheap Thrills.
Let's go. Oh, there goes my copyright ability. I'm sure it's gonna recognize the cover as the stuff. Yeah.
the New Orleans style. See if you feel the groove.
All right. Woo! Good show, yeah.
Now we're actually going to slow down.
Chad said this guy put his head back like this, and then when the guy said, "Oh, he's falling asleep," the message was redacted. Do you have any lotion? Sorry, any lotion?
Lowell Woody back there on the drums. We have RJ Sacrifinanza here on the trombone. How about it for Patrice and Andrew filling in for us today on the trumpet and the tenor saxophone respectively. I'm John, I play the trumpet. We're the Heavyweights Brass Band. You can find us online at Heavyweights BB. And as we've been mentioning, we have this new album that's out, Knockout. It was released just back in June. So do check it out. We have it here on vinyl, and it's of course available for streaming as well. Really, really excited about this record, and we hope you'll enjoy it and take a copy of it home with you. We're going to keep things going with a couple more tunes off of Knockout. This particular tune was written by our saxophonist Paul Laycap. It's called Go On, Get Your Groove On.
Get your groove on. Let's go.
That was a little house disco medley. That last tune was called The Jam. Most of our songs are named after bars. We don't have a problem, we just like to have fun. And the tune before that was called Go On, Get Your Groove On. We want to just take a minute to thank everyone here in the city of Brampton. We want to thank Carmen, our fearless leader here, for putting this on. It is really hard to do stuff like this. This is a labor of love. It is like pushing a rock uphill, and we want to thank everyone that was part of this today. We also want to give a big shout out to the city of Brampton itself, really being a hub for arts and culture. There's so many amazing musicians that we play with that are from here. Shout out to Mayfield, one of the greatest art schools. Yeah, any Mayfield grads or anyone here? Yeah, that's why we love to see it. Even when I was a teenager, I got to play in the Jazz Mechanics, which was like an amazing thing. And the Rose Cedar is so great. So how about a round for Brampton? How about a round for yourselves? All right, this next tune is a cover of a cover. This is called Feel Like Making Love.
Yeah, I feel like making love. That's it. Woo! Woo! Amazing show, yeah. One more!
We've got a couple more tunes for you. Once again, we're the Heavyweight Press Play. You can find us online at Heavyweight TV. This next tune is called Stir Crazy. Moulton on saxophone, Patrice Barbershop on trumpet, John Pittman on trumpet, Noah Murphy on the sleaze, Woody on the drums. My name's Artie Saxophone. please add us on Instagram, Facebook, at Heavyweights TV. If you have any photo or video, please tag us. We're going to play one more tune for you. I'll take it back to New Orleans. This tune is called Dance Out on the Corner.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much. Head on over to the North Stage, everybody. Our last act of the night over there called The Shop, a great fusion project from Brampton, and grab some food on the way. We'll see you back here at 7 o'clock.
All right, all right, all right, all right. What's for supper? I don't know yet. What's for supper? See,
That's a good question. Fantastic question.
maybe
Impeccable question.
maybe fries, chicken, hot dogs, and a shake. But well, we're gonna go stretch our legs, y'all. We'll be back another time. It's your boy T. I'm out. Peace.